All right, grasshoppers, we're back. It's like a breath of fresh air here. Mel was busy, couldn't come join us. So, Jeep, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Last 3 days left, and these walls will be torn down. And so,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, right.
So
and we discussed before.
I mean, I want to apologize that I came. I thought Mel was leaving last week. That's why I came back on. And now he's not.
Sorry, I may have misled you. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
You're talking about Larry Melnick, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonder if he got those shirts that were sent to his house.
I know.
He's not home. How's he going to get them?
Gresh, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
How am I feeling? Good. I feel great. I really do. I feel it's amazing when you don't drink and don't smoke. Your life is a whole lot different.
So we need to clear something up last week too. James had a little bad connection, and I had a bad neck. So when James was saying things, I couldn't move, and he was wondering whether he was frozen all the time. So
that was nice. That was nice like that too. When you don't talk tough.
No time.
I had no reaction from you. Everything you said, it was like you were stiff and frozen, and like a lot of my friends who watch the show just say you lift way too many weights and you got what you deserved.
It's true. Well, I think what got me was the kettlebell swings, swinging through like that. Yeah.
The what?
Kettlebell, right?
Oh God.
Jeep, it's pretty busy winding down now. You got a couple more weeks before training camp, right?
Yeah, we're pretty much full time at the rink, preparing and meetings, and I had meetings Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all day. Yesterday with the staff, the hockey staff. We actually had Scott Arneal, the former assistant with the Rangers for 5 years, came in and did a kind of a tutorial for my coaching staff. It was fantastic. He was in for about 5 hours and a lot of video. And
so he was teaching you guys, Jeep? He was teaching you guys? Oh.
Yep. Yeah. Oh. Going through all of Washington's systems. I mean, in detail, every area of the ice, from offense, defense, neutral zone, special teams. For me, I want to know how, what's Peter Laviolette like? What, how does he handle different situations? How does he handle the star players? How is he different from Todd Reardon?
Jeep, that's excellent by you that you're willing to learn from those guys. I mean, you played in the NHL for 21 years yourself. You can say to yourself, I know the game, but that's excellent. You're willing to do that. Seriously.
No, I want to know what other teams are doing. I want to know what successful teams are doing. How long their meetings are, video, everything. So he was fantastic. My assistant coach and I have two new coaches this year it was huge for them. First of all, we're talking hockey. Now we're getting back into hockey mode and training camps, right around the corner in like almost 10 days, and get your mind thinking on those subjects again. Yeah. But for them to
like what, Fred? What is that all about? Like a personal attack on us, Gresh? Is that a compliment towards Jeep, or is that an attack on us?
At least we know that Fred's not blind. I could have told him.
Opper. You think that's his full name, Opper? Like,
I don't know.
Opper. Hey, Ops. What do you think he had as a nickname when he was a kid? Was he yelled Ops?
Or Oppie? Oppie.
Yeah.
I'm open.
Listen to me. I'm happy. Hockey's back. I watched 2 games yesterday. 2 hockey games. I watched the women's. They played Finland last night in Calgary.
So that's the Canadian women's. You watched?
Yeah, I watched them, and then they played Finland, and then I watched the Manitoba 12 and under at the Brick in Edmonton, because my nephew's son plays in that, so I watched that game. They played Ontario, and they were 2-0 going in. They lost 2-1. A tough defeat, but it was kids are 12 years old. Boy, they can play. It's amazing.
Okay, so for whoever's watching or listening here, the Brick tournament, and it's every year, every summer in Edmonton. It is literally the best 12-year-olds in the world, certainly in North America.
Yeah.
And it's amazing if you look at the lineup from the top players or the top scorers in the Brick tournament 12, 14 years ago, they're all in the NHL now. And they're star players. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
And it's every year. It's I think it's hosted by Mike Comrie's father.
That's right. He owns the Brick. Yeah.
He owns the Brick franchise now. He's a very, very wealthy
Yeah,
man
he's
who
good
puts
at
on-
Brick. Yeah. I played junior against his dad.
You did, eh?
Yeah, in the early 70s.
Yeah.
And he that tournament, well, it wasn't around obviously when I was back in the 60s, but it's amazing how good those kids are. Like,
Did they have tournaments back then?
They didn't even have pucks back then, Tommy, for Christ's
Did
sake.
you guys ever bill it? Did you guys ever go to tournaments and bill it at somebody's house? I know you did, like when you went to junior teams, that, but
Yeah.
No, we mean no, we didn't do that. I
We
went to one tournament outside of where I grew up. It was Saskatchewan high school. I was in grade 9, and we went to the Saskatchewan tournament for high school tournament, and we ended up playing. We had 11 guys on the team, and we didn't win obviously because we weren't. But
So you never came off the ice, Gresh.
No, I played the whole thing, but I was the left winger back then. So you play forward. You two know. You guys play forward. You can float. You don't have to worry about anything. Just go, just skate around. It feels like you're doing something, like most forwards do. Like somebody asked me one time, how difficult was it to go play forward? Christ, you playing forward is easy. You don't even need a brain.
Yeah, don't
Exactly,
stop
yeah.
thinking.
You don't need a brain. You can skate around. Like you're doing something, but you're not really doing anything. You play D, you got to go back. The guy's running you from behind. You got to make a pass, right? The forward they did lean. It was nothing. I mean, forward. I think goaltending and defense are the two hardest positions. And I never played goal, but I did play goal like for a part of one game, and I was like 14. That was they shoot at you pretty hard. There was no masks back then.
Tommy, I billeted with different families since I was 10 years old, going to tournaments.
yeah.
And when I was 14, we went to Swift Current, and I remember 14 went to Sweden for 2 weeks, billeted with a different family each week. It was awesome. But it went to Swift Current when I was 14 and billeted with Mark Lamb, and then we both ended up playing in the NHL and played against each other. So it was a neat connection,
Yeah.
And
I was the same way with we were over to Windsor and Joel Quinville. There we billeted, we swapped. I stayed at his house, he stayed at mine. Yeah.
is that right? Eh? That's It's a small world, the hockey world.
I know. Is it when you're kids and that happens? Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Joel Quinville. He's got a lot of wins now as a coach, right?
Quinville?
He's got to
Is
be
he the
up
most? No, Scotty's the most, right?
Yeah, Scotty's the most, but he's one of the top all time, and he's
What a nice guy! Like years ago, when he was doing Chicago, right?
Yeah.
And so my kid was a big fan of like Kane and Tao is how you pronounce his name.
Taves.
And I walked into the back in the garden, and yeah, go ahead, Ron, go right in. We didn't go into the locker room, but we waited outside and they came out and had a picture with the kids. And it was so nice. Joel Quinville was a really gentleman. I mean, he was nice.
So what do you think makes a good NHL coach? Like Quinville, for example. Why is he a good coach, or people think he's a good coach?
I think he is the perfect balance of, I think, he knows the game, experience, hockey smarts, but that perfect balance between presence, toughness, and respect of his players, treating his players the right way, treating them like grown men. I mean, I've heard many times, like, the players love him. They'll go through they'd go through the wall for him. I think he's fair with presence, but treats the players the right way. And he knows the game. He knows, I mean, when you meet those guys, you talk to them, you see them at some of the coaches' meetings in the summer. They see the game. I think they're able to make adjustments. They know who's going. They know who's not going. They know who can they can change, bump someone up and just make little tweaks there to line up at the right times. I think that's, get their, can he get his top guys away from a certain line from the other team, double shift the line. And then, I mean, that I know when I was coaching the defense in the NHL, you're always going, okay, who's coming up next? I got to get these defense against this line. And I mean, those, there's 4 lines, so, a head coach, he'll put on his first line, then his second, then he might go back to his first line. You're expecting the third line, you're putting the third pair out. And then, you got to make those quick adjustments. But I think the 3 for me, I think smarts and adjustments, experience and presence, and the respect of the players.
Right. So I want to get both of you guys think about this. So, like when I was an agent, if a player had a problem with the coach, wasn't getting enough ice time, wasn't playing the power play, whatever it was, I said, listen, the worst thing that could happen is me as the agent running in. I mean, if the coach is going to think you're a little wimp, you have to get your agent to do it. So don't you think it's much better when the player goes in and talks to the coach himself? Have more respect for him? Gresh, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember me ever asking my agent to go talk to all the 13 head coaches I had. It's like you had a problem with the coach, you went and talk to him. Take 2 minutes and you're done. It wasn't like you had a 2-hour session,
And don't you think the coach is going to have more respect for the player too? Like he looks down the bench now and he sees that guy's name in the back of the jersey. He goes, you know what? I don't necessarily agree with him, but he had the respect to come in, close the door, have a conversation with me, man. Yeah. Jeep, what do you think?
100%. I do know that you have to be sympathetic to the player. There's so many different personalities, and some players are. I get it. Some players are super shy. Some are introverts. Some are extroverts. Some never shut up. Some never stop talking about themselves, or some are, So there are some young players who they don't. I mean, you can say they don't got the balls to go talk to the coach, or they don't feel comfortable doing it. I don't want the agent to talk to the coach. That's not gonna help things. But I think the coach has to recognize that, and he's got to kind of, come halfway to meet that player. I think now it's way more prevalent with coaches. They do that. They communicate and they have an open door policy. It was somewhat different. Certainly, Gresh, when you started, I do remember when I was assistant coach in Buffalo, we had a young player, Eric Rasmussen. I don't know if you remember him, but
yeah,
he was really talented. He was a top 10 pick in the first round. And he played some good hockey. He played like 3-4 years. He could skate. He was a 210-pound. He could skate. He was intimidated being on the ice if Cam Neely was on the ice, or and he never had to fight him. If he could just go and skate and finish checks and work, man, the guy could play. But I just, early in his career, trying to get him going, trying to get him playing the right way. I know his agent came out in the paper and blasted Lindy for not playing him enough and how he was handling him. And it was just, I thought it was like the worst thing the agent could possibly do. Like instead of, I think the agents usually talk to the general managers once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times a year. I don't know how often. Yep. But you still, at some point, the player has to have the communication with the coach.
Yep. Yeah, I do agree. It's all right for the agent to go to the general manager and hopefully try to have a adult conversation. Like, okay, why isn't he playing? Like more ask questions and try to figure out what do we need to do to get this guy to be a better player for you. Yeah.
Well, and I think the agent and the GM, they're working together in a case like that. They both want the player to play better. They want to do what's, how can we help them?
Yeah. Back in '74 when I started, there was one coach behind them.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the '80s when there was it got crowded. Now it's like super crowded. Now you almost have a coach for each player.
It's crazy. I just think it gets to overkill. There are some benches where I know Dallas made the one coaching change when they fired Montgomery there, and they brought up a coach from the minors. They brought a coach down. They had 5 coaches on the bench. You got 5 coaches. You have the equipment manager, the assistant equipment manager, and then the physical therapist. Yeah. It's out of hand. Like, I know as a coach, you're going, am I talking to him or are you going to talk to him?
Yeah, more confusion.
Is that the way head coaches want it, do you think, James?
No. I think it's more of a ownership GM thing saying, we are going to teach and develop, which teaching is huge. And yes, you want to teach your players to make them better, to play the right way. But as far as how you communicate, an owner says, okay, some of these wealthy owners come in and say, okay, I can only put so much to salaries for the players. So we'll spend more on research development. We'll have more coaches. We're going to have more skill coaches, and like, I know when Pegula took over in Buffalo, we went from the usual, head coach and 2 assistants, and then you got a goalie coach and a strength coach. That's kind of your coaching staff. We went to a 3rd assistant. We went into like having 2 skill coaches. We had skill coaches who watched practice on the bench, and then as soon as practice was over, they would jump on the ice to do extra work. Well, you got 3 assistants who are doing extra work with players, and then you get 2 skill coaches. That's 5 guys. They're searching for players. Okay, I'm going to grab this guy and do extra work. It's overkill.
Oh, I know. I agree. Gresh, where's your juicer? How's that going? Is it all plugged in, ready to go?
It's still in the box.
Oh, it's in the box though. Is it there?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna probably go get one this weekend because I'm going to. I might start on the vegetarian diet.
Vegetarian diet?
Yeah, for a while. I have a question for you guys. You guys know, like, Tommy, you work out a lot. James, you work out. Like, what do you think, like, an average lion weighs, male lion?
Average male lion?
I mean, a full grown.
800 pounds, 600 pounds?
I'm going to go more like 500. I'll go 500.
Wow, pretty good. 500 and about 570.
Yeah, that's my average line. Yeah.
Okay, now what do you see? Look at a giraffe, right? Long, skinny legs, a long neck. Like, what do you think a male giraffe weighs?
He's like, what's his name? Shell Samuelson was like that. He's like a giraffe.
Yeah, he looked like one.
Yeah. Okay, so what is that again, Gresh?
That was the second worst trade the Rangers ever made.
That was up there.
He was a good player.
Hey, he became effective, boy.
Yeah, he did. We had the golf tournament on the Chase golf tournament with the MSG on Monday, and Eddie Hospodar was there. Gresh, do you remember? Maybe you're there too. When Eddie got traded to Hartford first, and then to Philly.
Yeah.
And we were going into Philly. Keenan was coaching. It was a pregame warm up, and we kept firing pucks at Eddie's skates at the other end. And Keenan watched the whole thing happen in warm up. Yanked him off the ice. Couldn't play him during the game because we were shooting pucks at Eddie's skates. And we're going to do that every game now too. We don't want to play against Eddie.
Yeah.
He told you that story?
Yeah. Well, I remember doing it, and I was talking to him about it. He actually got talking about the remember the brawl, the pregame brawl in Montreal.
Yeah.
And he was saying that it was definitely premeditated. Keenan made that happen. He had 5 extra guys dressed in warm-ups, and he had told the guys that that's what he wanted. He wanted to go get them. So,
wow,
beauty. Yes. So, Gresh, I'm sorry, we were talking about giraffes.
Yeah.
Are you getting one?
Well, no, not yet. But I was just wondering because I was watching TV. I get to watch a lot of TV, like in the last couple months.
Right.
And I saw these giraffes. They're like tough. They're tough shit, man.
Are they?
They
tough animals?
They stomp on lions and shit like that. So I was just researching them to see how much they weigh.
1,000?
A full grown one, long neck geek like they are. But how much do you think they weigh, Tom? You're pretty good at the guessing that weight.
Oh, the average giraffe, 1,100 pounds.
Not even close.
2,000.
You're getting closer, Jeep.
Really? Wow.
Huh. 2,600.
Really? A giraffe weighs 2,600 pounds? Wow.
A full grown one, yeah. That's the male.
Oh, I was thinking a baby giraffe.
Oh, you're thinking a baby giraffe is 1,100. It
yeah.
gets 1,100 at one time or another.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do giraffes breed the same way that humans do? Like, is there the male and female doing the dirty?
Well,
Getting sticky?
They have to, right? Yeah.
How do they do that?
How do they do? You haven't figured that part out yet? At 60, what old are you?
But I mean, like physically, I understand like what has to happen, what has to transpire. But
They're really shy. I think they find some privacy, and that's where they do it.
Behind a tall tree.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you, Ira?
Uh,
Big fan of draft porn. What is wrong with you? Jeez. Ira. Oh,
maybe
I worked at a horse breeding farm back home. And that was always interesting too. So it was a standard bred. So they had a little, so to find out if the mares were ready to breed or not, they had a little pony. So the mares would be on one side of the fence and they had a little pony come around and he'd get all fired up and the mares would respond if they were ready to breed. Then they take him in and do the dirty. Yeah. Poor pony though. They'd have to keep him. So he couldn't have sex all summer long, like with the breeding season. So that poor little guy. I think they actually helped him at the end of the season with some.
Who helped them?
I think they got an old workhorse or something like that and got a bale of hay and got the little pony jump up on the bale of hay.
Jesus.
It was pretty funny.
Some giraffes to that. Okay.
Yeah. James, what about summer jobs for you when you were a kid growing up? What kind of summer jobs you have?
Okay. I did when I was young at the lake. My father built a cabin in 1954, and we spent our summers here. I had the paper route when I was like 10 to about 13. Mm-hmm. When I was 16, my first like real paying job was at Canadian Tire. Worked in the sports department. You're hired, and me and one of my best friends met with the manager of the sports department. I mean, I think a 5-minute interview, and then we're hired.
Huh?
They sell guns and bullets and everything that would be in a sports department that I know nothing about. So people would ask me if we had some product. I'd say, I'm not sure, I'll go check. And then I'd walk back and there's a little like storage room or behind. I'd walk back there. I'd stand in the middle for 30 seconds. Then I'd walk out and I'd say, no, we don't have that here. So I'll just say two things happen. No one, for some reason, no one could work in hardware. And Canadian Tires is, I don't know, it's somewhere in between Target and
Walmart kind of.
It has, it has outdoor, it has automotive, it has sports, it has leisure. I mean, lawnmowers and lawn chairs and all that type of stuff.
Right.
So,
sorry, we're going back to that one.
Yeah, can you answer that? But I guess to finish what I'm saying.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Jim.
They had no one at hardware one day.
Right.
And the manager phones the night before and says, you got to work tomorrow. Can you work tomorrow? We need 2 guys. So me and my buddy work in hardware.
Right.
They sold chainsaws and drills and power tools, routers, all that stuff. Every person that came in to him would ask for something. He would say, you know what, you need a chainsaw? Our expert in chainsaws here today. He's that guy standing right over there. He knows all about those. He can help you. And every person, I just look back at these stores. I didn't know a thing about anything, and I'm trying to sell people on this. So
that's funny.
I worked there for about 3 months, and it was painful. It was
that's funny.
Painful not being able to answer people's questions or help.
So, do you think you learned things along the way? Were you better by the end of 3 months?
I did. I mean, I learned how to bluff. I walk in now, and I'll see someone who works in the store, and they'll walk by me real quick. And I know the guy doesn't want me to stop him and ask him a question.
Right,
I did that 40 years ago.
Right. That's funny.
But I don't know. I learned a little bit about selling in the sports department. I learned it was a very primitive computer system, but I learned how to punch stuff in and right. I guess record sales. And so I did learn a little bit. I tried my best and I was responsible. I showed up on time. So
good. Gresh, how about you? What were your jobs? Didn't you work in that? You didn't work in the chain gang. That was Mel working out in the chain gang.
I worked. I did hay bales. Worked on a farm in the summertime.
You worked hay bales?
Did hay?
What'd you do?
We probably made around 40 to 50,000 hay bales in the summertime.
Okay, would you bale them? Would you stack them?
Stack them behind the baler, stacks of 10.
Yeah.
Push them off with a crowbar. And there was my cousin, two of my cousins. My cousin Jerry would drive the tractor. I would stack them. My cousin Mark would turn over the swaths to make them dry. There was no big round balers back like they have now.
I know. I remember that. Yeah. Oh, that was good. That was good work during the summer to keep you in shape. That was good. Ooh.
And then we would take a flatbed, hook it behind the tractor, 1 or 2 flatbeds, and then load all the bales on top of that, and then bring them back to the yard. We did that all. That's all we did all summer, and that was it.
I did it for a month when I was 15 on a friend's farm. I remember you have to wear gloves. You would take the 2 strings on the bale and you had to stack them.
Yeah.
But I remember our jeans got ripped because you're always pulling them against your jeans and then stacking them. And how much is a bale of hay? 50 or?
Yeah.
Well, it can range anywhere from 35 pounds of straw bale to if you have an oats bale or a barley or alfalfa could end up being probably 70 to 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And you lift those, and you lift like 30,000, 20,000. You get strong enough over the summer.
Oh yeah.
So Tommy, as I moved up in hockey, you'd run into these farm boys from Saskatchewan, and they had this strength that I'd never seen before. It wasn't from lifting weights; it was from growing up in small towns, and
totally.
They were usually like as tough as nails and as strong as an ox, and probably from lifting bales since they were about 8 years old.
Yeah, it's true. Oh yeah,
lifting bales and then 12 packs of beer.
Oh, totally. Yeah, both had it both. Yeah, keep the beer on ice. Oh, at the end of the day, if you're out in the hot sun, sweating and everything, you grab an ice cold beer. Oh, Lord.
My uncle Joe would always bring us around a beer. And he never failed. He would bring around the beer, and we'd have a beer. We were, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old.
I was just going to say, Gresh.
Yeah, it didn't matter. I mean, like, listen to me, that was back when you were growing up. That was all like, there was nobody going like, oh my God, that kid's 12 years old, had a beer. Like, who cared? It was part of life. You didn't smoke. You weren't allowed to smoke in front of your parents.
I had a job one summer picking beans. So you get like the little basket, and you have to fill that basket up. You had 25 cents for every basket of beans. I'd sit there the whole day. I could, because you had to pick the right beans. You had the ones that were ripe enough. You didn't get it. I think I did it for a couple of days. I think I made like 15 cents or something like that, and stuff of that.
You made how much? A nickel a bag?
25 cents for the little basket. You know those little baskets? They have the handle in the middle. Those things. They had to fill 25 cents. You get paid for everyone, but it would take people that knew what they were doing would get it done in an hour, not an hour, 20 minutes. For me, seriously, it would take 2 or 3 hours to fill up the basket, and it's like it's just not really too profitable. Yeah.
Beans. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Must have been in Ontario.
Yes, that'd be Ontario run.
Yeah.
Is there a problem with that, or what?
No. The guys from Ontario used to always be like, "Oh, you guys out west." I said, "Listen, it wasn't for us. Every time we flushed our toilets, you guys got to clean some drinking water down east."
That's not nice.
True fact.
How's the Nook doing? That's the one. I'm happy that you got it situated where you are, but we don't get to see the Nook anymore. Gosh, how's that going?
I moved into here because I moved into this room because there was more room, and my kids didn't like the clutter in the kitchen.
Yeah, but how's the Nook? I'll ask again. How's the Nook?
The Nook is good. The Nook is good, clean.
Right.
Everything's good.
Hey, Gresh, in that room you're in now, so I see obviously your Ranger jersey is the one in the middle. Is that your New West jersey?
No, the one on this side.
Number 6?
No, the one right here.
Yeah, I see a Ranger.
That one's from the 86 playoffs.
Okay.
The one in the middle is from Showdown in 78 or 77 when they had the Showdown thing.
Yeah.
And the one on the other one, number 6, was I'm not sure if that was that might have been it's either All-Star thing or Challenge Cup. '79. I can't remember which
Okay.
one.
Gresh, how many All-Star games do you play in?
Well, I played in the one set in '80, and then I ended up not playing any games. The Challenge Cup. That's why we lost.
No All-Star games. So you played one All-Star game?
Yeah.
Hey,
Jim-
Tom,
Jim-
I
Jim,
didn't play any.
No.
No. But did you get your Ranger jersey from that '86 playoffs? Did they give
No.
you?
No, nobody gave it to me. I think Jack Birch gave that to Gresh.
Yeah, he
Right.
must have. 'Cause I never got mine either.
And you know,
That was like-
how I got them. You know how I got them? They didn't give us jerseys back then. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Right. I was it was the Washington series. And then we played Washington, then we played Montreal, right?
Yeah.
So game 4 was at MSG, right?
Yep.
So they brought the jerseys along to Montreal to see if I could play or not, and I couldn't do it. So when I took off back then you wore the blue jersey on the road, right? So I took the blue jersey, put it in my bag, and I kind of swiped that jersey. Then when we got back to New York, I went to the Garden, got the white jersey, and there was a kid that wasn't feeling very well. I lived in my building on 84th Street, and I gave him the blue jersey.
James, do you remember that scene at the back of the bus there after we lost out with Jack Birch? So Jack Birch was an assistant coach with the Rangers, and I think he felt like Gresh was his child. Like he actually gave birth to Gresh, right? I mean, there was a real attachment there. So how did it play out? Gresh had got hurt, and we ultimately lost, right?
Gresh
Jack
broke your thumb or
Broke my hand.
broke your hand?
That's right. And Jack comes to the back of the bus, so James and I and everybody else could hear it. Ron, we would have won if you were there. It was devastating for us. Oh my God, jeez.
In my end of the year meeting, the coaches told me that too.
Right.
But just the funny thing was, they hated Gresh at the start of the year. You were healthy scratch to start with, and I mean, I'm surprised they didn't send you away, Gresh, because literally, I mean, it was 5 days into training camp that Pierre and Nick Fattiu and Glenn Hanlon and Mike Rogers all got
they
shipped away, and I mean, Gresh could have been with them too.
Yeah, and I just came back off of I had my shoulder surgery that summer, the same one Barry Beck had.
Okay.
And only Bubba was lifting weights after 6 weeks, and I took 3 months, didn't do anything but drink beer. So I came to camp a little over. Well, I wasn't overweight on my whole body, just my front part.
So Gresh, do you and Jack Birch exchange Christmas cards?
Well, we should have. I just he was. I mean, the guy was telling the truth. I mean, like what the hell you want to say?
I'm not debating the facts. The facts are not in question. There's no, and that's totally true. It's just, I mean, the emotion, like the tear, they had little tears.
I never laughed so hard in the back of that bus.
The tear coming down his eye and everything like that, And was he holding hands with you at the time when he said it? I can't remember.
Well, I think he was sitting on my lap.
Yeah, that's what it was. Like little Jackie.
That would have been the first time he dared go to that back of the bus. So he would have taken some heat from you two guys.
Oh God, that was funny.
Did they get fired that summer, or was it?
Oh no.
Started.
Phil took over, and then in Vancouver, I would say 2 to 2.5 months into the next season, I'll never forget. They got fired at the Bayshore Hotel. We played the night before, I think, in Calgary. Now we're coming in and no morning skate. And I just remember we had a meal, or guys were coming for breakfast, and they were checking out, and they came and said goodbye to us. Ted and the assistant coaches, they got fired.
All right.
We played Vancouver that night, and Phil's whole pregame, Phil's the new coach. We're going to have fun. I don't care what happens. We're going to have fun.
Yeah.
10 minutes into the game, it's 4-0 for them.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
I remember that.
we ended up winning, I think, like 8-5.
Yeah.
Tony McKegney got 4 goals. That's all I remember. 4-0 early. We won 8-5, and Tony got 4 goals. So that was all in that same day. That's where they got fired the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I broke my foot beginning of that year in That old Cow Palace. Remember the Cow Palace in
San Jose?
Yeah, San Jose. We played an exhibition game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And that
You know,
guy
Reggie Higgs was a good guy, though. I like Reg. Was it Higgs
Yeah.
or Hicks? Yeah.
Reg, yeah.
I liked him.
No, I think he was a nice guy. I think they're all. I mean, I had ended up for the next 15 or so years. I'd run into Jack Birch in the Odd Arena. He became a scout.
Yeah.
You know, so I saw him. I think he was a nice guy.
Yeah, you're right.
I think he didn't know how to behave. You know, college coach who didn't have a lot of coaching experience. Now he's around NHL players that intimidated him.
Yeah.
And so I think he was somewhat standoffish or a little arrogant.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work.
Yeah.
And I think who knows if Ted, again, I just think the way they started, I look back now, you better have the respect to your players, and you want to get your veteran players are the key to, yes, you might have to trade a veteran player at some point, but when the guys at Glenn Hanlon is as good a team player as there is. Like,
oh man, yeah.
Bucky's a great guy. Is Nick Fotiu a fantastic? Like, I'm saying all those guys were real good people, good team guys.
Yeah.
Pierre LaRouche was as offensively gifted as a player who had this reputation, who every guy in the team loved him.
Yeah, exactly.
You need that personality.
Yeah.
And they didn't know that. They didn't realize it. They didn't understand how.
Yeah.
And that's what doomed them from the start somewhat, I think.
Yeah. And Jake, you touched on it too. You know, we're critical of coaches, particularly Sater sometimes, but as people, that's a different story. Like, they weren't bad people, I don't think. It's just their methods for coaching were.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was tough. Like, they didn't want Pierre to come back up. I don't remember if it was February or whatever it was. It was like 20-some games left or something. And we had a meeting out, and we were by the pool in L.A., right?
Yeah, you and I and Bob Brook. Yep, we were the three captains that time.
Yeah, and we voted on whether they asked our opinion, and we had I think in the previous 5 games we scored 1 goal and lost. We won 2-1, scored 1 goal and lost 2-1. Couldn't score goals, and they asked our opinion. So I said, "Well, you got Pierre LaRouche, bring him up." Oh, I thought they're going to send me down then. I don't know why they hated him so much. And
yeah, they ultimately brought him up too, didn't they?
He put 19 goals in 20 games. Like
his first game was in Quebec, and I'll never forget because he scored a goal. And we end up tying 6-6, and with like 30 seconds left, I just happened to dump the puck out, and Pierre was already by their blue line and went in and put it off the crossbar. And I'll never forget because I watched him go in. He hit. Pierre snaps it right off the crossbar into the thing. We end up tying the game. I went over to Pierre. I go, "You mother, you couldn't score that goal. That would have been like the icing on top of the cake for him." And we kind of got voted down for Pierre to come up, but Pierre came up. Pierre
that was pretty funny. I remember sitting there because poor Bob Brook, right? Like, he's kind of stuck in the middle there. He's not a Pierre guy, and he doesn't want to. The coaches are asking a question. He knows what the coaches want to hear, so I think he sided with not calling up Pierre. Gresh and I
they both
look at each other like, "Yeah, bring him up." Yeah.
They go like, "Okay, who wants to bring up Pierre?" We go like this, Tommy, and no, we're not going to bring him up. Well, why are we voting then?
I don't know. Somebody asked what Ted Sater's doing now. I hear somebody said he was a politician or something like that. I don't know. Maybe they were being sarcastic.
At one point, he was coaching in Hungary, and I think the Hungarian national team, which is kind of in the B World Championship. So I know he, up until maybe 3 or 4 years ago, he was over there. Saw him and followed him a bit in the coaching circles.
Yeah.
That's amazing, though. You think about that. 86 team loses into Patrick Roy, right? Who was scary against us or against you guys, and they get fired like the next year, and then Craig Patrick gets fired after the draft.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
Craig got fired for a good reason too.
What, drafted Brian Leach?
Drafted Brian Leach.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Guys, jerseys hang. Well, Tom's jersey's hanging in the garden, but Leach's name is on it. He's in the Hall
Tom,
of
you
Fame.
got to have a piece of that jersey, though.
I know. I've talked to Leach about that, and he agrees too. He agrees that I should get a piece of it.
I think we should go there
I
one night.
thought-
Tag your name over.
Gresh, how do you know this? How many times were your name on the All-Star ballot? How many years?
I have no idea.
Do you, James, know how many?
No,
I know
you
for me it was. I know for me I was on one time. Worst year I had in my career. I
Was
just
it
couldn't.
in LA or New York?
In New York, yeah. I think it's probably like my 5th year or something like that. It was on the ballot.
You start thinking about it?
Oh yeah, I'm like, what? Because honestly, I thought, what am I doing on the All-Star ballot?
No, you started thinking, I'm on the All-Star ballot. I've got to play offense.
No, it was. I no, it was more honestly. I was like, what am I doing on the All-Star ballot? It's like felt so awkward. I said, no, I don't belong to be on the All-Star ballot.
Why
Oh,
not? Tommy, you were a lot better than you think you were.
Well, I was confident in myself. It wasn't confident in myself, but at the same time, it was like I just didn't view myself as an all-star. I just was like, that was for, yeah.
You know what though? I mean, there's a case. I don't want to put down. Some guys have had huge accomplishments. They're great,
Online, okay?
and I mean that.
Okay.
Kenny Morrow won gold medal and 4 Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
He's a good player. Like he was a good defensive player.
Who's
Shel
that?
Samuelson was that type of player. You know, a big guy, not a great skater, but he could defend, big body around the net, and make mistakes.
Yep.
Was Kenny Morrow better than you? I don't think so. Like I don't think so. And I'm talking. You could go over. Do you not agree, Greg? Like in a 4, 6, or 7 year span.
Yeah.
In that span, let's say from 1982 to 1988. Kenny Morrow is not better than you.
No,
Yeah.
After Tommy scored his first goal in Boston, after that goal, he was better than Bobby.
That's why James went to 1982. Anything before 1982 did not happen. It just was gone.
No. It was like, didn't you score 6 goals one year, Tom?
I scored 6 goals my first year. My first year, I had like 6 goals and 23 assists, and that's So then Herb comes in the second year, and it all worked out fine with me with Herb. But when he starts off, that's when he had that meeting at the start of the year. And he says, "Laidlaw, when you get the puck, give it to somebody else. You're not supposed to have it." Like I'm assuming I'm going to be on the second power play and all this kinds of stuff. And he says, "Give it to somebody else." Actually, he was right. I mean, I that was not my role, so that was funny. All-Star ballot. I remember I looked at the All-Star ballot, and that was the weirdest thing. Like it just bugged me. Like I'm not an All-Star. Again, I was confident in my abilities, but yeah. Yes.
Tommy, I was going to ask you. I saw you giving a speech to a football team, or
high school football team. Yep.
So how was that? Like, what'd you talk about? Or
it's good. Yeah, you know what? That's a great question, James. Like when I first started all this motivational speaking stuff, it was more like a 9-to-5 job, So I'd have to prepare a speech and everything. But now, because I just do it all the time, it's like I'm just living that life. So I knew going in there, I really wanted to talk about, especially the young kids are going to make mistakes and how they recover from mistakes. So I told some stories about things that I'd done in my past, mistakes I made, how I recovered. And then they're good. And the coach is really good. They asked a few questions. So it went on and on for a while. I told a story about how I know I've told the story many times, but I was trying out for the 80 Olympic team. And that would have been my senior year of college. And I was really cocky. I told everybody, nope, I'm going to make the team. I'm going there. You guys, giving away my stuff. And I remember I gave away my beanbag chair. That was a big deal. Like, oh my God, I gave away. So we had training camp in Calgary at the old, the old corral, right? Corral. And they didn't have a lot of money. So they had us staying in construction trailers out in the parking lot there. So I decided with I won't name the players. There's 2 other guys that have had lengthy careers and are still working in the NHL. We decided the first night we were going to go out and have a few adult beverages. So we got back to the trailer about 2 a.m. after having a few adult beverages. And we decided that it was going to be a good idea to put the furniture from the TV room out on the trainer's car in the parking lot. Now, I don't know why we decided this. So then they went to bed, and I thought it'd be even more intelligent to now go to the trainer and wake him up that this would be a real funny joke and tell him that all the furniture was on his car at 3 a.m. So I go to bed, and again at the time, I remember thinking to myself, "This is hilarious. This is a great joke." And remember, Father Bauer was running Hockey Canada.
Yeah.
So we're out in the parking lot, about ready to go over to the practice rink, and Father Bauer comes walking over to me. So this would have been the first time I would have met him. And he was such a gentleman and everything. And he comes over, and I actually really still believed at this point that he was going to go over and like put his arm around me and say, "Tom, that was a funny joke." 3 o'clock in the morning. He hands me a plane ticket and sent me home. Because as James, as a coach, I'd really given him what they wanted, right? They needed somebody to set an example with that this is not the way we're going to conduct ourselves. So now I have to go home and tell my family, my teammates, everybody, here was this cocky guy saying he was going to play in the Olympic team. Not only did I not make the team, but here's why I did not make the team. So that was my mistake I made. And that year, so we had started the hockey program. My first year there was the first year they had the hockey program. My senior year, and it wasn't because of me. We had some other great players, Steve Bozak, Steve Weeks, other guys. We ended up being the number 1 ranked team in the country after that. And I did play more possessed. But again, I don't want to paint the picture that because of me, we were number 1 ranked team in the country. It was the whole team thing. But it was, I wanted to show the kids that, listen, you're going to make mistakes. And that was a huge mistake. It's what you do about it afterward that really matters. So, and the coach was pretty fired up by that. What's that?
What kind of car did the guy have? Was it a big car? Was there a lot of furniture? Or?
You know what, Ron? I think after a few adult beverages, we may not even have it on the right cars for all I know. But
I like that.
1980, Gresh. Those long cars. Remember, the big front and the big back, and
yeah.
I'll tell you what. It's one of those things. I'm sure you guys have done stuff too. Maybe not that, but look back and you go. I actually thought it was a good idea at the time to do it. Like, this is good. This is a smart thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that. That was. I never heard that story before, Tom.
Yeah,
I like it.
But James, I really enjoy doing that stuff now. It's like I don't know how you are as a coach. I'm sure you have to speak a lot. For me, I was always comfortable talking about hockey, but now when you have to start talking about other stuff, it's and again, I'm sure you like this with the kids too, because you can't. I'm sure you're exactly like this. So when you speak to your team, sometimes you're looking for a reaction from them, right? Like, are they responding? Are they, they get fired up? Like you're fired up. Those kids, sometimes they look at you stone faced. It's like,
yeah. That was like our show last week. When I said a few things. I go, "Can Tommy hear me?" But you know what is amazing? I know when, like even coming out late in my career as a player, you'd have to talk in front of the team. I remember, our trainer when I was in Calgary, he made it to 1,000 games, and Brian Sutter was a coach, and he wanted me to do the presentation. And it was always a little intimidating. Like I could do it, but I gave it a lot of thought and, a little worried about it. And then, so I became assistant coach. And as soon as I became assistant coach, like literally day 2 or day 3, Lindy had me up front doing a video presentation, and I stumbled my way through it, but you start talking in front of the team. So halfway through my assistant coaching in Buffalo, Lindy got hurt in practice one day. He broke 7 ribs. It was an incredible collision. We were doing races for the puck, and he was watching one way, and guys were coming the other way. Jordan Leopold hit him, took his feet out from under him. He went, and I watched the whole thing. He could barely get off the ice. They wanted to bring a stretcher, and he wouldn't let him. And he's in the hospital. We got a game the next day. He can't coach, and so I talked to him on the phone, and he says, "You got to coach." I'm coaching Kevin Adams, Teppo Newman assistant. So I'm going, holy fuck, I'm the head coach now and I ended up coaching for 3 games. But it's when you are a head coach, like you have a meeting at 9 a.m, then you have a morning skate, and you have awards after the skate. Then you'll have your, you have the assistant coaches do the special teams meetings, but then you'll have a pre-scout that you do at about 5:30 on the other team. Then you have the talk before you go out to start the game. Then you have the talk after the first period. Then you have the talk after the second period, and then after the game. And it was exhausting, but so then you become like, now that I'm a head coach, I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
There are times when I've walked in the dressing room, I do not have a clue what I'm going to say. Like I'm literally walking the door. I'm going, what the hell am I going to say? What do I say about this one? and something pops in your head or something comes to your mouth, and then you just roll with it. And, 7 minutes later, you've done talking about something. So I guess with practice, you get more comfortable with it.
Right. It's kind of like Gresh's sex life. Like 7 minutes later, it's all over with. Yeah.
Wow. Way too much credit.
Yeah. Kevin.
That was a pillow talk too.
Yeah. That's waving goodbye too.
That is funny, right? Like and you learn that over and over in life. There's things that you start off doing and you think, oh God, I don't know if I can do this. And then after a while you do it so many times. And it's like, it was a big deal. Yeah.
I remember the first time I ever did a talk was in New Jersey at the school. And I didn't know what to say. I was like 20 years old, I was going like, there's like 400 people at this Haversink rink, right? Whatever it was in New Jersey. And
yeah, I'm assuming Kathy's talking about Gresh's sex life, right? So just want to be sure.
That's
sure, right?
of her life.
Yeah. Thanks, Kathy. And anyway, they picked me up in the city by helicopter, bring me out there.
Helicopter. Oh.
Yeah, in the city. And I land on wherever it was. I get there and I get to do this. I get up and there's like 400 people there. I'm going, I haven't seen 400 people ever in my life. My hometown wasn't 400 people. That's how I started it. The crowd's bigger than my hometown. How's everybody?
You know what though, Gresh, if you just knew to tell some of your stories from the bar or tell stories about guys, it would have been the best speech they ever heard.
Yeah, totally.
That's some of it was that. But it was a like when you first do that, you're nervous as crap. You don't know what to say. Like you're going like what words should come out next, and sometimes you think you're not even saying any words, and the words are coming out. But I listen to Tom. I listen to all that, like all Tom's 4,000, 320.
And Gresh, you're going to become vegetarian?
I'm going to be part ways, part of it, not all of it. Okay, I don't think I could do the whole vegetarian thing.
Okay, so you have someone coming in and a nurse checking on you?
No, they gave me the
green light.
Okay. Okay, but you're gonna start using that juicer.
You have to buy it first.
I'm gonna go buy one first.
Oh, okay.
I think they have this thing called Amazon.
Oh, I don't know what they do. Amazon?
Yeah, it's a new thing. Just started last week.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna go.
I don't know. Can you be partly vegetarian? You're either vegetarian or not, right?
Probably it's gonna be like I like vegetables the way it is, so it doesn't bother me. But I still like chicken,
And fish. Like some people are vegetarian, but they eat fish.
Right.
You get that. So
is that? I guess what is the true definition of vegetarian? You have to be 100% veg. Like you can't be like partly a virgin, right? You're either a virgin or you're not a virgin.
Yeah, you can't be partially pregnant. You know what I mean?
But vegetarians can drink or eat cheese and milk. Vegan, if you're vegan, you don't eat any animal products.
Right.
Well, I was reading the thing about you eat nothing with eyes.
Okay.
I was going to say you're talking about your sex life again, but what?
Okay, well, we're not going to go back to that one because then I don't want to.
Okay.
Oh, I was stirring the pot. I was stirring the pot with Kotze here today. He's going to eat some. He's going to eat some big vegetables.
Maybe a big turnip.
Oh God.
No, it's like what was it? I was going to say something really funny, but I can't remember now.
Oh God, James, you don't have a juicer, do you?
We've had a couple of them. We used to, when I was married, juice a lot.
You were married a lot?
My ex-wife used the juicer a lot.
Right.
So but I don't now that I'm on my own. I don't have one. Probably.
Was that ever, not to get too deep, was that ever a source of an argument or anything like that? Was there
not at all.
So there's no reason why you don't have one now. Okay.
No, we were both on the same page. And
okay.
probably be a good idea. What's that?
Did she get the juicer then?
Yes. That is.
Did you fight over the juicer or just let her have it?
No, she.
Did you have any dogs and cats when you got divorced? Did you have?
Yeah, we had one dog that. It started off with my daughter's dog, but it kind of my. We had a family dog, and she got the dog.
She got the dog, the juicer.
Yeah. A lot of other stuff too.
So there's no like shared custody of the juicer or anything like that. You can't share the custody of the juicer. You'll go back.
No. Are you looking forward, Jeet, to getting back to like hopefully a regular hockey?
Hey, Ron, we're talking about Jeet's personal life.
No, I think we
out right now.
Good segue here. No, you know what? Time's gonna fly here, and we'll be on the ice. Training camp is real fun. I mean, you draft kids at 14 in this league, so they're like just turning 15. So you get to see them for the first time, and some of them at 16 they're on your team. So it's when that first your interactions, your first bit of teaching, your first video sessions with young kids. And again, even as a coach, like you think, they probably know this or do that. And then as you get to know them, they do not know. I mean, they need so many on ice lessons, off ice lessons, work habit lessons, life lessons. So it's a start of that with some of the kids.
Is Carson coming back?
Oh yeah. He's going to. He'll be here for maybe the first week of camp with us, and he goes. All the guys who go to NHL camps leave, and they're gone for about 10 days, and then they come back just before the season starts.
Well, how did they do that with the travel restrictions that might come up?
Well, it's fine right now. They've opened up. The border is open now. Like we have. We've got one boy going to Anaheim's camp, one to Philly's camp, and Carson going to Minnesota's camp. So.
James, I forgot to ask you. I apologize, James. I forgot to ask you. Did you do any homework for the show?
No, I didn't today. I just, I did actually look up chiropractors in Greenwich, because if you were going to have a stiff neck, there's like 3 guys who did active release and myofascial work, and So I think there's help nearby for you.
See, that is so thoughtful of you to do that. So that's amazing. So I do have cracks now every once in a while. Like there's something cracking in there.
I know, but are you being a little more careful? Are you stretching it? Are you?
Yes. So I warm it up in the morning.
Yeah.
Stretching it? Yeah. Every day he tries to stretch it.
We're talking about my neck, Ron.
Yeah, Gresh.
That's what we're talking about, right?
Quit getting your mind off your sex life, okay?
Yeah, now it's like, But anyway, you need I have a good chiropractor, Trump.
I've never been to James. Did you ever do a chiropractor, James?
Yeah, I do. I've had success, but there's some chiropractors that are doing way more than adjustments, and some people don't like adjustments.
Right.
There's a guy in Niagara Falls who treats a lot of world-class athletes, and luckily when I went to Buffalo, that's where his office was, and I felt like he kept me in the league for the next 6 years, because there were from my neck and back issues, like he would work me over. It had nothing to do with the adjustment. He did this active release. He would do acupuncture. I'd go and see him. He'd treat me for an hour, and I'd walk in. I was in pain, and I felt like $1 million coming out. Huh. He treats them. He's at every Olympics. That guy in particular, there's a guy in Canada, this Mark Lindsay. This guy's name is Mark Scapapici, and they treat a lot of NHL players, a lot of sprinters. Like the fastest sprinters in the world are always coming up to his office, and they'll come in for like 3 days, and he'll treat them like 2 or 3 times a day.
Right.
So there is help. When you were locked up like that, I know a guy like that it would have. Yeah,
it was some. So Susan's always got a lot of good questions here. So Owen Power, the #1 overall pick, is going back to college rather than play with Buffalo. It doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, if I'm his agent and I'm representing him, the state of the Buffalo Sabres right now, I think it's a smart move. Go back, develop for another year, stay away from the mess that's in Buffalo until they clean that up, if they clean that up. And so I would recommend. I think that's a good move. I had Brian Berard as the first overall pick in the draft when I was an agent, and he was drafted by Ottawa. And Ottawa was a similar spot. They were a real mess. And so we made the decision. We didn't wait for them to make the decision. we decided for him to go back to junior. And just so everybody understands, too, just because you're drafted by the team, until you sign a contract, they're not in control of what you do. You're in control of yourself. So if you don't want to go to training camp or anything like that, I mean, I don't recommend it for most kids, but you decide what you want to do with your own career. So.
Okay. Did he play for Ottawa
Ultimately, he got traded to the Islanders.
the next year?
Yes. Yeah. And he got traded. Mike Milbury traded for him. He actually traded for the number 2 pick. He had Wade Redden.
Yeah.
And Redden got traded to Ottawa. And then Mike Milbury then traded Brian Berard to Toronto about a year and a half later, I think it was, and said that Brian Berard couldn't play. Even though he had traded for him, he'd now determined that he couldn't play. So,
Yeah.
Mike Milbury.
Mike, he always had a lot to say.
Oh, God.
He turned that franchise into a winning franchise, didn't he?
Look at the guys that he traded away, like Zdeno Chara, Roberto Luongo. There's a whole list. I heard it the other day there of all the guys he traded away from the Islander. Yeah,
Like Bertuzzi or something like that.
yeah, Bertuzzi, all those guys. Yeah.
Bertuzzi was the other one. That's right. Yeah, there is a long list.
Yeah.
I played, I think, the end of my first year there against him. And it's the first game we played Boston. I took the puck to their net, took a shot, and the goalie saved. I stopped in front, and he came over and he would give me the push. And I stood there like he was giving me this, and then he turned and skated away.
Yeah.
And I was naive, but the next thing I know, like Nicky was standing right beside me.
Oh.
And, like, it was so obvious, like he was the toughest guy on the ice with me. And as soon as Nicky, he turned and just skated away.
Yeah.
And,
that was Milbury.
that's my earliest memory of Mike Milbury.
You know, Milbury was always tough. He only had who do you have? Jonathan,
Yeah.
Secor,
Jeez.
Winsink,
O'Reilly, Cashman.
Yeah.
Oh,
He was tough like dog shit.
dog shit.
Yeah. Tough to smell.
Oh.
That's why he's on your wall. Is he still on your wall, Tom? On your
No, we took him off. He was in the garbage last time we saw him. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So this is our opportunity. I mean, I know we all love Mel, right? I mean, I think if anything we want to say now, it's out of love. It's not out of talking about it behind his back. Obviously, he's going to see the show. I mean, are you guys happy with his performance the last few weeks? The way he's not prepared, I feel like he really set the bar high for his performances here, but I just don't think he's maintained that level. Do you guys agree? Or
I think ever since he went on vacation, like when he was talking about his vacation, thinking about his vacation, then he went on his vacation and his mind's been elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like he's with Flocky, his buddy.
Yeah.
And it's like hot and he's on the on Mara Lake, or he's in a houseboat, or he's at the bar there. And that's all he's been thinking about, golf and his vacation.
Totally.
Kind of neglected the show. I think he's neglected the show, eh, Gresh?
What's his flocky hockey, whatever it's called?
I know. Come on.
His buddy around. Yeah, you know what? I think he's had success. Like, people really enjoy. Like, here's the difference between him and you. So you've come on the show. People are constantly saying, "Wow, Jeep's great. James is great." But you've kept it even keel. Like, you don't let it go to your head. And you're the same old James Patrick. I feel like with Mel, it's like people are saying how funny he is and how good. It's like now he doesn't have to do the work, right? He can just show up.
Okay, going back to who's flocky hockey, whatever they're talking about one day.
Ron Flockhart.
Who is he?
Okay. He played did he play 4 or 5 years in the NHL?
Yeah, mediocre years too. Very mediocre.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will say this: the guy was a phenomenal junior. Like, he was very offensive. In junior, he's like a Gilbert Perreault type of player.
Yeah.
You know, and went to the minors, then came up and couldn't do it in the NHL. He's like one of those guys, great in junior, but you get to the NHL and to be a top offensive player, it's a little different level.
Right.
So I don't want to put him down. He played in the NHL, made the NHL, but he got a system of hockey, or a style of hockey named after him. And it's like, I see some guys write books now. You go, how the hell that guy wrote a book? He only played 100 games in the league and he wrote a book.
What years did this guy play? What years?
4 or 5.
Didn't play against him. He played about, I would say, 81 or 82, let's say, to 85.
Yeah. And I think that's right. Like, Mel's kind of like painted this picture that he's the next Mark Messier. This flocky hockey is Mark Messier or something like that.
I never heard of him until I was listening to the show one day.
So, okay. So we all agree that Mel is not performing like he had performed. Is that?
See here, I think this is what's happened too. Like Mel was a grinder in hockey. He worked for everything he earned.
Right.
He worked his bag, and he got 2 Stanley Cups. When he had to work, he had to fight, he had to do anything it took to get there. Now on the show, he's had the success, and it's like it's gone to his head, and now he's like,
stop working.
he forgot about the work.
Okay, so what do we do about it then? Do we pull him aside? Do we?
Grumpy head.
Yeah. Do we talk about it on? I think what we have to do really, for fairness, to him, we have to talk about it on the show next week. Like to really, and like he's going to try to deflect, right? So I'm going to bring it up. Like Mel, listen, we really want to take a few minutes here to talk about your career here on air, and he's going to want to not pay attention to me, talk about something else. I think we all need to band together to really say, no, we're going to deal with your issues here, Mel.
Yeah, and I think Gresh has got to be vocal because I know I've kidded him that Tommy's on. But
I
Gresh,
don't think an hour is enough though to get Mel straightened out.
What's that?
I don't think an hour is enough to get him straightened out.
Well, we can do a couple of shows on it.
Yeah, well, like probably the next 10 or 15.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay. So we all have decided then that next show we're going to focus. We'll say our hellos. We'll see how everybody's doing, but then we'll get right into talking about Mel, and we're going to stick with it, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay. All right, good.
You're talking about Larry Melnick, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, just making sure. Who we're
Herb.
talking. Herb. Oh, yeah.
Herb. All right, guys, great job. Very informative, Ron. So the juicer will be there for next week because you're going to be vegan.
I'm like my daughter's going to Syracuse College, somewhere in New York. I don't know where it is. I know where.
She taking the juicer? What's that got to do with?
Well, I don't know what the hell's going on. I just told her I can't eat for the next 4 years because of the money for the college.
Yeah, we won't let that happen. We won't let that happen.
So, but anyway, you guys went to college, both of you, didn't you?
Yep.
Wow, paid off.
Gresh, I went for hockey.
That hurts.
James, what was your major, James?
I was in business, and then I switched to education. I went back for 2 summer schools and switched to education, and it, like I never got it, but
Oh, so you didn't graduate either?
I didn't graduate.
Yeah, I was a speech major. Same thing.
But you guys, but no, that's. I mean, I think back. I wish I'd have went to college for a couple of years just to have that party line. You know, we didn't have any party line.
You had to finish high school first, though.
Well, that was the only thing that stopped me from going to college.
Got it done as a GDP or
Well, yes, no, it wasn't that. My marks were good, but the number of years in high school weren't there.
That 1 year you did 4.
So I did a year. I did a year and a month. Then I went to Chilliwack, British Columbia. Imagine that. I was 15 years old.
All right, guys, great job. So we're band together next week, next Thursday. Hopefully, well, Mel says he does. You know what? This is going to be a good test too because he says he goes back and watches the show all the time. This will really be a test to see if he actually did that. So
maybe he's playing. Maybe he's out playing like in the summer league on that Flocky, whatever it's called, Flocky hockey.
He's playing Flocky hockey.
Yeah, hockey. Is that his buddy or something? Is that his buddy?
Apparently so now. Yeah, Flocky. So he told a story too how like he broke up Flocky hockey's engagement or whatever, and then they got back together. I don't know. Man.
He was engaged. He was engaged to him.
something like a 30-year ago engagement or something. Like he was in.
Yeah. All right, we're out of here, guys. Great job. We'll see everybody next week. Have a great week, everybody.
We'll see you guys.
Bye.